Respected Director of the Conference, Dr. M.G. Srikumar, Plenary Chair, Dr. Shantanu Ganguly, and my dear friends, and also the office bearers of the LIS Academy. I am Dr. D.M. Mira. I am from Raman Research Institute. Formerly, I have just retired very recently. With this, I consider privilege for getting this invitation to share my experience of building digital archive in this LISCON 2020 platform. So my title of the talk is Curation and Preservation of Archival Collection through Digitization, a Practical Experience. This is truly a conference of different kinds. I would like to congratulate and thank all the office bearers, particularly Professor T.V. Konnur and also Dr. Shivram, who have put in a lot of their effort to make this happen. To begin with, I will be talking about comparing archives, museums, and libraries, as these three institutions have certain commonalities and in their actions, functions, and deliberations. This is just to let you all know that we as librarians can pitch in to become an archivist or a curator if there is a need. So what are archives? They are collections of recorded information in any form or medium created by individuals or institutions selected for permanent preservation. They are done for the purpose of historical reference or research and education. So they need to be carefully preserved. A museum is a non-profit permanent institution in the service of a society and its development, which is open to public, acquiring, conserves, preserves, researches, communicates, and exhibits tangible and intangible heritage of humanity for the purpose of, again, education, study, and enjoyment. Regarding libraries, I don't have to speak much. We collect books. The collection development in a library is a very planned and systematic activity, and the material thus collected are preserved for the current use or for posterity, again for the purpose of learning, education, and research. In addition to preservation, we also concentrate upon information retrieval and dissemination. You can see that there are certain red marked words which say that the important permanent preservation, research, and education are there in all the three entities, thus showing that we are all common to certain extent. Now coming to understand what is digital archiving. This is a process of building repository of the digital objects that an institution or an individual person wishes to keep for present and also for posterity. Archives may have wide variety of materials ranging from text to audio video to representations of three-dimensional artifacts, and they are preserved for long-term access. In the last 3 decades, there has been extensive digitization activity which has transformed the wealth of traditional and scholarly and cultural information that is available in these three institutions into digital format. Now let us look at collection development in a digital archive. There are two methods of digital archiving. One, there are born digital products, and the second one is conversion from analog to digital media. There are few considerations which we should keep in mind when we take up this collection development activity. We have to prioritize based on the purpose of the archive, and we should develop a balanced collection. Just because something is available on internet or elsewhere, we should not add them to our digital archive. And secondly, when we convert from analog to digital format, we should be very careful about the value addition and also the demand a particular item has for the archive. And of course, copyright clearance is a major important issue which all of us should keep in mind. Technical feasibility is something with which we all should be concerned. When we have a program of this kind, cost factor is something which all of us should keep in mind. Now, curation. What is this curation? Curation is of archival assets is the process of selection, preservation, maintenance, and archiving of digital assets which add value to the repository. Content curation results in assembling, selecting, categorizing, and commenting on and presenting the most relevant material of the highest quality for the end users. Curated content is neither an aggregation of existing content nor references or links to the information. Now, considering preservation and storage. Digital preservation is still in infancy. It's a complex technical, social, economic, and organizational issue. Digital preservation should be a regular ongoing activity which should integrate and with creation and managing and storing. Preservation actually focuses on the policies, technologies, and strategies to ensure that digital objects are collected, are available and usable for both now and in future. As I already mentioned, digital preservation is still an evolving field. In the recent past, digital repositories, what I mean is institutional repositories, are increasingly being considered as a solution for preservation. However, there are certain risks involved in the digital preservation. What are they? One is with the very unstable nature of the digital format. And secondly, the degradation of the storage media happening continuously over a period of time, and technological obsolescence, which I have shown here by way of how we have moved from one to other digital storage media. Of course, everything goes without saying, it gets associated with the cost. With this understanding of digital content for an archive, curation, and preservation, now I would like to share my experience of building a digital archive at the Raman Research Institute. This is an effort to showcase how important are digital archives in managing history of science and scholarship in a research institution. Also, how institutional repositories can be used as a springboard to go much beyond their intended use. Since we are talking about the archive, it is essential to know about the history of Raman Research Institute. Raman Research Institute was started by Sir C.V. Raman in the year 1948. He was the first to get Nobel Prize in the whole of Asia, and even today he remains to be the one and only Nobel laureate in science in India. He built this institute on the piece of land which was gifted to him by Maharaja of Mysore. This was a self-funded institute by Raman, and because he did not like to receive any funds from government, which goes and which will result in losing certain amount of autonomy. Between 1914 and 1917, there were 7 students who worked under his guidance for their doctoral degree. He was sure that after his time, institute cannot run this way. So he formed a trust called RRI Trust in the year 1970, little before his demise. So RRI is one of the earliest to receive funds from Department of Science and Technology, Government of India since 1972. It has now become one of the premier research institutes in fundamental science. So these are some of the archival material that are in our possession. In 1998, Golden Jubilee celebration of RRI happened. At that point of time, it was decided to transfer all the archival material from administration to library so that it can be preserved for future. So we have about 500 plus newspaper clippings. There are more than 400 research papers published by Raman, research publications of his 7 students, transcripts of Raman's address in various forums, convocation addresses in many universities, and Gandhi Memorial Lecture delivered by him. This particular memorial lecture series was instituted by Sir C.V. Raman himself because he was an ardent follower of Gandhian principle. So soon after Gandhi's demise, he instituted this memorial lecture, and he was delivering this lecture until his demise in 1970. This was a very popular lecture series. There are 5,000 photographs taken on various occasions, including Nobel Prize ceremony. There are also a few audio and video clips. Published articles on Sir C.V. Raman are also in the possession of our archives. Raman's correspondence with eminent scientists are also there with us. His interview by eminent people are also in the possession. Also, few administrative papers of Indian Academy of Science and Raman Research Institute are a part of the archives. There are many congratulatory notes which were received by him upon getting showered Rajya Sabha Bhushan and Bharat Ratna Award. Upon his demise, there were a lot of obituary and condolence notes, and they are also part of the repository. Now, the newspaper clippings, they were originally in this format. A3 size buff paper was used to paste all these newspaper clippings and they were preserved. But after moving from this to digitization, now they have appeared like this in the digital format. You can see that there are some numbers here. They are all the reference given to the newspaper clip. There are more than 475 research papers published by Raman. As I already mentioned, his first paper was published in the year 1906 when he was only barely 17 years old. And as a student of Madras University, he published this paper, but not even his teachers had then published any single paper. Was sent as a note to Nature on February 28, 1928. And this is another important paper which he published along with his student. Now, research papers of Raman, there are about 66 research papers that were published by Raman and his students. So this was the first one. What I'm showing here is one of the important paper published by Dr. Pancharatnam. This particular paper has found 1797 times cited, and even it gets cited in the recent past also. To be more precise, this has found a citation in 2020 also. This is yet another important paper of his student. Now coming to transcripts of the lectures delivered. This one was the lecture delivered by Sir C.V. Raman on the Nobel Prize ceremony at Stockholm. This is an address which he delivered at the Mysore University convocation, and this was the address when he instituted Gandhi Memorial Lecture. Now we will come to see the photo gallery. This is the most important aspect of the archive. This is the house where he was born at Thiruvannaikaval in a small village in Tamil Nadu. This is young Raman. This is a photograph of Raman with his parents and his siblings. Raman is seated here. And this is a photograph of Raman with his two friends. Raman is here. And this is a photograph of Raman with his wife, Lokasundari Amman. This is photograph with his teachers and fellow students from Presidency College. Raman is seen here. This is Raman. So next is Nobel Prize ceremony. You can see a turban-clad person sitting here. This is Sir C.V. Raman, and this is with all the delegates. He is seen here, and Raman with his citation and his also prize. Raman with eminent personalities. You can see that here Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Shri Jayachamrajendra Wadeyar, Maharaja of Mysore, are here. Raman with Mahatma Gandhi ji. Here he is taking salutation in a parade, and this is with Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, and this picture is with many dignitaries across the world. These are some of the important documents of Sir C.V. appeared in Science, and this is a book, Journey into Light, published by G. Venkatraman, which speaks about life and science of Sir C.V. Raman. This has found many editions of publications published by Indian Academy of Sciences. Here you see a cartoon. This was actually, he was invited to deliver inaugural address at Photographic Saloon. So this caricature was developed by them and was displayed at the entrance, which says that Raman sees science everywhere. This is the handwritten notes of Sir C.V. Raman, and here this is what he aspired that Indian Raman Research Institute should become in the due course. These are some of the notes. Mr. Narendra Modi, when he on 14th April 2015, he gifted German Chancellor Angela Merkel reproductions of some manuscripts and papers by Sir C.V. Raman, who had a strong scientific connection with Germany. So PMO has acknowledged this. They have acknowledged archives of Raman Research Institute here. With this, I would like to share one more product that we have developed as a part of our archive. This we have called it as Imprints Collection, Raman's Era. So this is a biobibliographic database of 7 research students who worked under his guidance. They are D. Krishnamurthy, S. Pancharatnam, Padmanabhan J, M.R. Bhatt, A. Jayaraman, K.S. Vishwanathan, S. Chandrasekhar, and also A. Jayaraman. Actually, Padmanabhan was not his student, but he remained all through his life with Sir C.V. When you actually click on any one of these names here, it will take us to a page. It will take us to the profile page of these scientists. They all moved on after taking guidance from Raman at RI. They moved on to occupy very prestigious positions across world. A. Jairaman, this is his profile page. He is currently 93 years old, residing at United States of America, and this is his profile page. When you actually click on this tab here, the publication page of A. Jairaman will open. When you click on this, the photo gallery will open. This is one of our simple contribution to this archive at RRI. With this, I would like to conclude by saying that archives are a solution for science historians in a science research institute. History of science provides baseline for policy decisions, structure sustenance, as one can always look back for guidance. Digital archives collection at RRI is well structured, keeping in mind important factors such as copyright, legal issues, metadata, interoperability, for curation and long-term preservation of all the information associated with Sir C.V. Raman, the founder. Also, building a biobibliographic database is an attempt to unfold the history of science, which happened soon after independence at a premier research institute in India. We hope that this will be a value addition of a science library. So this is the last picture of Sir C.V. Raman, taken little before his demise. Sir C.V. Raman was buried under this tree with a special permission from Karnataka's government of Karnataka, and this tree is called as Primavera tree. With this, I would like to thank you for patient hearing and also thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.